Greetings, this is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. Today's video, we'll be talking about the activities that go on in the Akash, but specifically we're going to be talking about imagination versus visualization. The two are extremely similar. As a matter of fact, the function is the same. The main difference deals with the content involved. So a great way to think about this is the same way that we think about how we would learn how to do anything. A kindergartner, first grader, or any elementary school student doesn't just wake up one day and write a novel. There's a process that has to happen first, right? You begin by learning how to recognize the letters. You learn how to verbalize them, how to read them and process them in your mind so that you can actually make words out of those letters. You learn how to spell correctly. You learn how to not only read, but also how to write, passive and active. After learning that, you learn how to construct sentences. You learn grammar. You start with the basic building blocks and you work your way up until finally you're writing paragraphs. You're writing essays. Eventually, if you continue, you may be one to write an entire text that can be so good that other people can learn from it. But you don't start there. You start at the basics. The same thing happens with imagination, which becomes visualization. Visualization is the expanded capacity of imagination. Everybody has an imagination. Everyone uses their imagination all the time. But everyone does not visualize. Now notice how I mentioned about how with learning the letters, there's an active and there's a passive element. You got to learn how to look at the letter, recognize it, and comprehend it. You also have to be able to replicate it with your own intention. To not merely just write the letter A or Q, but to do it on purpose with an intent. Nobody picks up a piece of paper and just slaps letters down. That doesn't benefit anyone. It's not useful or appropriate. But when you want to convey a message to somebody through paper or through text or through the digital sphere, you apply the tools that you've learned. No feelings about it. It's just a process. Likewise, when you learn how to constructively use your imagination, this can turn into something called visualization, which is the greatest tool that the spiritual practitioner has, the greatest tool, right? Now, the tools are also wrapped around different principles. The principles guide how you use the tools. For example, you'll hear me repeat my principles all the time for a reason. I repeat phrases like, maintain your frame. That's a principle. I repeat phrases like, is it useful? Is it appropriate? That's a principle. When you have principles that are able to withstand any type of content and any type of context, which is a principle, then you can use these things in any sphere. Your waking life, your dreaming life, your astral life, if you so happen to know how to get there, and so on and so forth. So before we get into that, let's I made a video and opened it up earlier today about, what does it mean if you feel vibrating or pulsating while you're meditating. So since my class has been opened and I've had a lot of students, a lot of people have been asking me about what does it mean if my third eye is vibrating or pulsating? What does it mean if I'm getting vibrations and things like that while I'm meditating? Now that specifically has never happened to me. So when I did get this question before, and I've been getting it my whole time here on YouTube, I kind of just brushed it off as, oh, these people might be exaggerating, or this may be some type of medical issue, or generally something I didn't want to touch. But when my students in my class actually started bringing this up, this is something I had to address. So after doing some research and looking into it, I come to find a very sufficient answer and also a way to move past that. Because what I've seen also is that when people start that vibrating and shaking, it breaks the meditation. So we found a way to get past that. That's awesome. Go watch the last video. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a part that I left out. I meant to say also. What some people also report isn't just vibrating and shaking, but they report some type of dizziness, like a vertigo. They report that it almost feels like the floor falls out beneath them, or it's very difficult to maintain their physical stability because, you know, it feels like they're in outer space. So I forgot to mention this also. When you are meditating and you feel that dizziness, what's actually happening is expansion. See, we're talking about imagination and visualization and meditation. It all blends in together. When you sit down and meditate and you're actually doing it properly, what begins to happen is that your awareness withdraws from your five senses. See, imagine it's like you've got a latex glove and you put your hand in that glove. All your fingers fit nice and snug inside of each little finger place. But when you withdraw the glove off your hand, you usually start by pulling the fingers of the glove off the fingers of your hand. So likewise, your etheric body is fit into your physical body like a glove. And just like you've got 5 fingers, you've got 5 physical senses. Now your awareness, which is utilizing the vehicle of the etheric body, your awareness is squeezed into your physical body like a glove all the time. And this is why I also said in that last video, most people feel like they need to have stimulus to feel like they're alive. People who haven't really touched spiritual experiences, they don't feel alive, they don't feel happy, they don't feel comfortable unless they're being stimulated by one of their 5 senses. That's why people run to distractions all the time, so they can continue to feel alive. What happens when you sit and meditate, and I've met people also who say they don't have time to meditate, they don't have time to just sit still because they're too busy doing whatever. I got stuff to do, I can't afford to just sit still and do nothing. Little do they know, all that scrambling that they're doing is actually doing nothing. But in any case, when you've got your etheric body squeezed into your physical body like a glove, just like that latex glove, when you sit to meditate, what you're actually doing is you're pulling your fingers out of that glove, right? You're pulling your awareness out of your physical body through the vehicle of the etheric body. Okay, and get this now. What's wild is that you are a glove within a glove within a glove within a glove within a glove. But in any case, when you start to withdraw from the 5 senses of the physical body, you now enter into the utility and the function of the etheric body. Now that's not something that most people are used to doing while they're awake. We're used to doing that when we're asleep, for sure. But most people aren't used to doing that while they're awake. So what happens is when you sit to meditate, if this is something that's very foreign to you and your body is very comfortable in that physical shell, when you start to withdraw, now you're shifting from one state to another. The equipment works differently. With the physical apparatus, you exist in the objective physical reality. And guess what? Just like in a video game, there's rules. The physical plane has forward, back, left, right, up, down, and also a sense of time. When you withdraw your etheric body from those physical senses, the etheric body and the etheric plane do not have those same rules. The rules are different. As I teach in my class, which by the way, if you haven't taken yet, what are you waiting for? Right? Because you're missing out on valuable time to not be confused. I'll put it like that. But when you withdraw from the physical body and you enter into the etheric plane, the rules are different. There is no forward, back, left, right, up, down. There's contraction and there's expansion. So when your awareness enters into your etheric body, you feel dizzy, you feel like the floor has been pulled out from beneath you. You can't really make sense of things because there is no up, down, left, right, because there's no physical body. You're literally having to get used to a new body. Now, for a lot of people, this is confusing. Now, see, because you don't realize what's happening here, the ego also comes into play. Now, the ego has one function, and that is to self-identify. I exist. When you start shifting planes like this, you're literally proving to the ego, not with words, but through experience, that the ego doesn't exist. Now that's a hard pill to swallow. So if your ego is still unintegrated at a deep level, you're going to find resistance. Okay, so a lot of this vibrating, a lot of this shaking, a lot of this, oh my God, that's happening because as you start to separate from one state into another state, there's all types of resistance. So I meant to say that on the last video. Everything happens for a reason. I guess I was supposed to say that in this video, whatever. But keep that in mind also. It's not always just trauma. Because I know some people were like, well, Trav, I didn't have any trauma. You did, you just don't remember it. But even if you didn't, let's just hypothetically say you didn't. If it's not the trauma, then it's that aspect of transitioning from one state to another state. All right? By the way, good evening. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have y'all. As always, thank you for supporting me, for supporting my channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this content. Thank you for giving me ideas and topics to cover, because for the most part, I'm like a living library. I just have all this information. So a lot of these videos that I make are because people bring up suggestions, questions, and comments. And most of these videos are a response to what people have brought to me. Because one thing I know is when you deal with a lot of people, if multiple people have the same question, there's a whole lot more people who have that same question who are too afraid to ask. So by all means, your questions and your comments certainly do help me in big ways, because they help me to produce more content. Speaking of which, if you enjoy the content, please like the video, because as we know, just like dealing in the physical body, you've got physical rules. Dealing on the internet, there's internet rules, and part of the internet rules is engagement. So if you engage with my video by liking it, commenting it, and stuff like that, it shows the YouTube landscape that this is relevant, it's alive, and people are interested in it. So if you want more of it, keep asking me questions, keep leaving me comments, and keep liking the videos. In any case, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Peace. Let's see who we got in the chat right now. Society Ejects. Good to see you, my brother. I am Whole E. Peace. Sunshine Chick. Good evening. Alfonso Robertson. Peace. Atropa. Peace. Xavier Schaefer Bay. Peace, bro. Oe. Greetings. Jordan Gilliam. Peace. Indigo Blackbird. Peace. I think I'm going to see you tomorrow, right? Blink Beats. Peace. Let's see. Sunshine Chick says, nice camera. Camera randomly focuses on you or an object you can disable. Yeah, so I just put it on autofocus before I started. I probably shouldn't have done that, but learn as we go, right? Because I was hoping to get rid of this white square that keeps popping up. I guess I'll have to Google how to do that. I mean, it's not terrible. It adds somewhat of a imperfect element to it. Imperfection is sometimes a good thing. Lance Benefield, peace. Alligator, peace, brother. Anna Molly, always good to see you. Naturally Natured, long time no see, peace. Let's see, I think I missed a question. Alligator says, sometimes I hear myself snoring when I'm meditating and I just keep listening. Yeah, that's happened before several times. I snore. Can't help it. You guys ever meditated and like feel your head go limp because you've actually fallen asleep but you're completely aware? You ever felt that? Society Eject says the glove metaphor makes sense because it's hold 5 fingers, the 5 bodies. Exactly. It's as if everything in our existence echoes the truth. And this is how you can tell, like, you don't need to go off believing any like crazy outlandish TikTok fucking theories. You don't have to. The truth is self-evident and it's everywhere, and everything else in reality verifies itself. Like, you don't have to go off believing crazy shit. Like, you don't have to. I know it's fun and exciting to believe all this different stuff they got out there, but the truth is self-evident, y'all. It's self-evident. What else can I say? You might enjoy the stories and the conspiracy theories and all that stuff, and they're exciting. I was there. But the truth is self-evident. You don't have to make nothing up. You don't have to travel to the North Pole to enter into the akashic dimension. You don't have to wait for the Galactic Federation to come down on their spaceships. You don't got to do none of that. Just vibe, man. Planet Earth has it all for you. Because planet Earth also is Malkuth, and anything to have or to possess is Malkuth already. Okay. Just let's see who else we got. Carl Jr. Peace. Randy Hertz. Peace. Useless Familiar. Peace. Al Dickey. What's good, bro? Love you. Reflection. Peace. Reflection says, once I get into deep meditation, I feel energy moving around my whole body. I wouldn't call it physical senses, more like electric. Right on. Tingling sensations. Micah, peace. Okay. Nuru, peace, bro. All right, so we're going to talk about imagination and visualization. We're also going to talk a little bit about Akash. See, I say that there's nothing new under the sun, but there is a caveat to that. Enter the Akashic element. El Diablo Negro, peace. All right. The all is in one, and the one is in all. Absolutely. Matthew Watson, peace. You didn't tell me that Alfred was a badass. I just learned today that Alfred once knocked out Superman, broke his nose or something like that. You got to tell me that story. Isaac McCoy, peace, bro. How you guys enjoying the course, by the way? You still, moving forward on that intro meditation? Aona El Ra, peace. New Occult Classics, peace. Jojo817, peace, bro. All right. I think that's everybody. Straight Panther, peace. More room. That's it. More room. Okay. So let's continue about what the actual topic of this video is. The Akash element is very special, and the Akash element is that new aspect of reality. It is eternally new. It's eternally new because reality is evolving. All right. It's evolving. When we deal with these clairsenses, clairvoyance, clairaudience, yada. What you're perceiving is the unfolding of reality. Time only exists because of our particular position within it. Outside of time, it is all wrapped up into one black egg. And it looks black because it contains everything, but in truth, Akasha is clear. Akash represents space. Not necessarily outer space, but the space that is in between everything else. The empty space. So, I said many times before, when you think about Akash and the fact that it's an egg, everything is wrapped up like a seed. Truly. If you have a seed of a mustard tree, within that seed, you've got the potential for the bark, how many leaves, how many branches, how many roots, all that stuff. Now, just like the good Swami Niranjanananda Saraswati said, you don't slice the seed open and see a little baby tree in there. No, we know it don't work like that. But the potential elements exist within, waiting to be activated by the rest of Malkuth, the rest of the four elements. So once that seed is planted in the appropriate soil, once it gets the appropriate nutrition, water, and sunlight, the harmony of that potential within the seed gets upset, and it begins to turn, twerk, percolate, until finally it starts the process of becoming its potential. Now it has entered into time, and it is activated. Now it has an expected, fixed outcome. as long as everything else is fine, right? Nature happens, human beings happen, but assuming that everything else is going to go the way it's supposed to go, that tree or that seed has an expected outcome, which is to become a tree. So within time, that seed has to undergo the process of evolution. It has to go from seed to sprout, to growing up, to branching out, to flowering, to producing more seeds of its own, replicating, so on and so forth. Everything in existence and non-existence exists within Akasha in its seed state, pure potentiality. That's one of the major reasons why this is the shape of an egg, because just like within the womb of a human embryo or a chicken or a rabbit or whatever lies the potentiality that, if everything goes according to plan, will be a replication of whatever seed has been planted in this womb. That's the Akash element. Now, because it is eternal potential, it is always new. It is always new. Now, when I say nothing new under the sun, I usually speak Kabbalistically, meaning that there's nothing new under Tifereth. Well, if you line these tattvas up according to their order of density, Akash is not under Tifereth. As a matter of fact, Akash, the fifth element, is beyond Tifereth, just beyond Tifereth. If you want to look at the tree of life and line up the elements with it, you'll find that Tifereth actually lines up with Vayu, which is the air element. Now, just above Tifereth is Gibara and Chesed. Those represent Akash. And keep in mind also, Chesed is just beneath the barrier of Doth, which represented with the chakras would be the Omkara. But anyways, talking about Akash, there's nothing new under the sun, which means by the time the Akash has started its process, whatever seed was in the Akash level has started its process of evolution, it now degrades and goes to the next element, which would be the air element, Tifereth, and it begins its process of evolution within time. Then it continues to degrade until it eventually becomes its dense earth aspect. All right, so those of you who've been following my channel and we've been learning about the tattvas, you know what I'm talking about. The 5 elements stacked up on top of each other. Yeah. Might as well bring out the book, right? What page is that diagram on? This one. So if you really look at it, this is what I mean by that Akash element. And if you notice, yeah, up here. So if you notice, this in this particular diagram is associated with the crown chakra. Now, I mentioned the seed state. This is where things enter into our reality, right? And as they come into our reality, they become more and more dense until it becomes physical. So your physical body, your etheric body, your astral body, your mental body, the spiritual body, the akashic aspect. But this is where the seed is in its potential state, with both of its beginning and its endpoints connected. Once it enters into reality, that process has begun of manifestation. So with that being said, the Akash element is also symbolic of or synonymous with things like telepathy and communication across distance, because you're not communicating with a person's physical ear. You're communicating with a very subtle and fine aspect of themselves. Now, just like I said, you have to start with learning the letters, then you spell words, then you spell sentences, then you put together paragraphs, and then maybe you can write a book. Likewise, on the physical plane, when we're just talking, likewise, in the physical plane, when we're just talking or communicating at that very dense level, that's more like learning ABC and learning how to spell words. All right. Now, what happens when you start working with telepathy and things like that? You're activating your higher senses. That's happening more at the level of writing paragraphs. So it's a bit more technical involving skill and experience. Not necessarily technical in process, but technical in the understanding of how communication actually works. Because even though I'm saying words through my microphone and it's hitting your ear, all these words are doing is triggering an inner feeling within you, and you're understanding it within your way. Like what I'm saying, most of you aren't understanding exactly what I'm saying. You're understanding what you understand. Just like if I read a book or I watch a movie or a TV show or anything, I'm going to get out of it what I get out of it, right? Now, I may miss what the director intended. I may miss what the author intended, but I'm going to get something out of it. And what I get out of it, that's actually the communication that's happening at that akashic level, the deep level. So also when it comes to telepathy and communication across distance, you're actually communicating on that deep understanding level, not at the word level of, hey, how you doing? It's at a deep level of understanding. Does that make sense? Let me know if that doesn't make sense, because this stuff can be a little bit tricky to describe without metaphors. And that's also something that I wanted to really point out in that last video. Most of us miss the magic because we're looking for something external that we're used to. No, you're dealing with something that you're not used to. So you have to train yourself to be open for something new. Open for something new. Remember when we learned in chapter 20 of Mystical Kabbalah about Tifereth, when Tifereth, who also represents Christ, the solar energy, in the Bible, Christ says, through me you see the Father, right? Through me you see the Father. That doesn't mean if you look at that man, you're going to see God in heaven. That don't make sense. What it represents is that because of what Christ is, because of that function that Christ serves, the Christ energy is in touch with what is outside of human conception. So by being in the midst of the Christ energy, you too now have access to what is beyond human comprehension. God is beyond human comprehension. What that means is this deep level of consciousness is so far removed from the physical plane to the average person, it is going to be very difficult to reach directly from here all the way up to here. It's as difficult as touching your toe to the crown of your head. So this Christ energy serves as the intermediary, right? It's in the middle between the physical plane and the spiritual plane, just like the sun is in between the physical plane and the spiritual plane. So the symbolism of Tifereth, the symbolism of Christ, the symbolism of the solar energy is a representation of something that is both within our grasp and also beyond our grasp. The sun is within our grasp, isn't it? You can look up there and see it, but you can't touch it. Hell, you can't get very close to it. Yet the sun is closer to something that you'll never be close to in your physical body, but we can access it through the sun. Now, what I'm explaining all that to explain is that what is actually beyond human comprehension is the full understanding of what the Akash represents. So we use an intermediary. Now, before I get there, can somebody guess? We use an intermediary to get to the beyond. Remember how I mentioned also before that Akash is symbolic of and representative of Chesed and Gibura, which is right there at the edge of the abyss, right there at Doth. Which means that there are things here that are beyond human comprehension, beyond human understanding, beyond the grasp of your five senses completely. So you've got to use some type of apparatus, some type of middleman, to access that and process that kind of information. So Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth. Somebody tell me what's the difference between Lucifer and Jesus. In the chat, let me know what's the difference between Lucifer and Jesus. This is the question that separates the men from the boys and the women from the girls. Okay, so I'm getting polarities. Somebody says higher self Yesod. Somebody says Lucifer is the process to the Christ. Veronica Archaga, peace. Veronica says opposite. Mike's Art says no real difference, same entity, two sides. New Occult Classics says the spectrum of light. What does that mean? So Poor 777 says, what's your opinion on Neville Goddard? I don't know. Ask the millions of people who are already talking about Neville Goddard. I haven't read his books, but what I've seen from him sounds legit. Al Dickey says one and the same. Isaac McCoy says Jesus white, Lucifer black. Atropa says there is no difference. Trey Panther says Jesus or Christ is that point. There you go. So, it seems like the people who have answered and who aren't scared to possibly be incorrect understand. You understand. Polarities, they're two sides of the same coin. It's the same type of entity. It is a Tifereth. It is through Christ that we get higher level understanding that is beyond human comprehension. Guess what? It is through Lucifer that we get access to information that is beyond human level comprehension. It's the same entity. Same entity, just dressed up with a different name. Like literally. So, let's bring it really close to home. What is Lucifer within you? What is Christ within you? There's the question. Now give me an answer. JDR BX Boogie says Lucifer is coming down, Jesus is going up. Yep. Always Chosen says one coin, two side. Right. Now answer this question. What is Jesus or Lucifer within you specifically, personally? Because like I said, I don't know if I said this in the class or in one of my videos, but you got to connect it. Oh, it was the unfortunate. You got to connect it to your practical everyday living. It can't just be up here in the clouds talking about, whatever metaphysical words you want to use. You have to connect it. You got to ground it. You have to ground it. And this is what we're going to talk about when I get into imagination and visualization. You've got to ground it in Malkuth, in Prithvi, in Earth. You got to ground it in your physical experience, or else your head's off in the clouds. You're daydreaming. Imagination versus visualization. You got to ground it. So let's see what answers we got. Society Eject says, yes, what I learned today from the class, God forms. Cool. New Occult Classic says, one is ultraviolet. Okay, can you connect that to your practical everyday living? Society Eject says he's the mediator, right? So Poor 777 says the self. What is the self? What does that mean? New Occult Classic says my heart. Okay. Alligator says subconscious is Lucifer and conscious is Jesus. All right. Jojo says Lucifer pushes me to take leaps and Christ to stay reasonable. All right. All right. Good answers. Good. See, I like that. Everyone here is actually putting some thought into it and not just repeating what somebody else said or what they've been taught. I love that. That's why you all are the greatest students. Okay. Let's see. Lucifer within me is freedom. Jesus to tell you the truth when I'm not sure. And I'm also glad that there's no Jesus hate here. I'm glad that we're mature enough to know that we're past that shit. Zaire Anu. Peace, bro. All right. So basically, here's the answer. The imagination. The faculty that allows you to process imagination or visualization, which is its older brother. It is through imagination, right? What? Come on now. What did I say about Tifereth? Tifereth, the spark of the sun. Tifereth is far away from human beings that we can't touch it, but close enough to God that it touches God. And through Tifereth, we gain access to what is beyond human comprehension, the middleman, the intermediary. Likewise, what you call your imagination, it is something that is just far away from you. It's not tangible. You can't touch your imagination. You can't point to it. You can't describe it in any way. It's a function. Yet through that function of the imagination, you can gain access to things that are beyond your comprehension. Am I right or am I wrong? Everything that's ever been brought into this universe first had to come through the intermediary known as the imagination. Whether it's Christ or Lucifer, same thing. It is this imagination that allows us to access things that we would not be able to access with our 5 senses. See, I visualized this video before I recorded it. I didn't watch it with my eyes. I didn't hear it with my ears. I literally had to withdraw from my 5 senses like a glove and enter into my etheric body and go through this process right here and see it in detail, in the details that matter at least, and bring it down to Malkuth to initiate it, right? I touched the seed of the beginning and the end of the video, right? Planted it in Malkuth and allowed the necessary elements to water it. So now that it flourishes. Everything that's ever been invented, from Tesla cars and AI art, all the way back down to sandwiches, right? The Earl of Sandwich was supposedly the first dude to slap meat between 2 buns, between 2 pieces of bread. You know, the person who invented the stoplight, who invented bowling shoes, all these things were perceived through the imagination, right? They were dropped on you. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. You dropped, slapped some meat between 2 buns. Why did you have to say that? So yeah, that's what it is, right? That's what it is. So it's important to understand this. This is, and there's different tools and ways to utilize the imagination, right? When I talk about visualization, it isn't just seeing things with your eyes closed. You got 5 senses, you've also got 5 clair senses. Actually, there's more, right? You can smell things in your imagination. You can taste things in your imagination. You can feel things in your imagination, right? You can hear things, you can smell things, you can touch things. All that stuff you can do in your imagination. So what happens when you really withdraw from your 5 senses and put all that to work? What can you bring into this reality? This is the difference between imagination and visualization. What's the difference, Trav? You didn't say. True, but I'm about to. Like this video if you haven't already. I must be doing a good job because there are, no, it was backwards. We don't have more likes than there are viewers. Somebody didn't like the video. Somebody didn't like the video. I don't know what's going on, but somebody ain't liking the video. I'm going back to the chat here to see what's been said. Matthew Watson says Purusha and Prakriti on it's the light bearer, and one is the light bearer and the other gives out the light. Okay, I can see that. Sopor777 says Neville Goddard also talks about Jesus being the imagination. Okay, well he probably has access to the same source information. Because I mean really all these different teachers and schools have thought if they're telling the truth, then it's not that that individual is like super special. They just found the truth. The truth is the same. The truth is the same. It don't matter who you go to. Like I said, it's self-evident within nature. It should, all of reality should corroborate. All of reality should give evidence to the truth. You don't have to believe in no crazy conspiracy. You don't have to join a cult. You don't have to believe that you are the only chosen people and God's coming back to punish everybody else. You don't have to believe nothing crazy. Reality tells the truth. People lie. Straight Panther says Lucifer is also the Kundalini. Oh yeah. Never veil God's art. I see what you did there, Yamaika. Reflection says, I know UFC fighters visualize before they fight, and most of them win when they do that. Oh yeah, most people who visualize before they do anything win, right? And here's an easy trick. If you're feeling lazy and you just can't get your shit done, If you can't be asked to get up off your ass and do it, at least sit up and visualize yourself doing it. Visualize yourself initiating it, completing it, and then going on to do something else. And do it with detail, with all 5 senses. See if that doesn't help you to be a little bit more motivated to get your stuff done. I have to do it sometimes when I'm not feeling it. Right now I'm in my up period, so it's easy, but when I'm on my down period, I have to literally visualize myself getting up to do the simple things because I don't feel like it. It works. Give it a try. Kingslow Fitness. Peace. Seeing you on Instagram today. Alright, so yeah, let's get to the main topic of this video then. You dig. Society Eject says, I could see Jesus being the imagination. How else can we come out with the concept of God-like entities? Look at DC and Marvel. So they pull that from the imagination. They touch something, that's for sure. It's through the imagination that we're able to touch the beyond. So like I said, the imagination isn't a thing in itself. The imagination isn't a place. It isn't a thing. It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle. It's the astral body. So, you have to go into your etheric body to go into your astral body. Now, imagination versus visualization. Let's think about imagination. With imagination, you usually sit there and you bring up within this empty, clear space, right? If you know the details of the Tatwas, even the earth element has an akashic aspect. The water element has an akashic aspect, right? The fire element has an akashic aspect. The air element has an akashic aspect. The akasha element has an akashic aspect. What that represents, and I don't have my cards on me. I should probably grab them, but I don't feel like going in there right now. But basically, the akashic aspect of all the elements is the aspect of that element that is reaching towards the next vibration, which is reaching beyond. Remember what I said in the beginning of this video? The akash element represents what is outside the reach of the earth element's potential. A good example is if you're a little kid and you want Christmas presents, like you want that what is that, Nintendo Switch, you don't have any means to get it, so you got to use an intermediary. Look, there's Santa Claus, right? At least you got something to work with. Now with the Santa Claus, at least I know that if I behave, I'll get what I want. I'll make it known what it is that I want, and I'll follow the rules. I'll behave, I'll be good all year, and I know that I'll get what I want. That's a vehicle. That's a vehicle to make what's happening. Even though the parents are spending their hard-earned money and giving credit to some invisible God, as usual, the child at least has a vehicle and an apparatus to manifest his or her desires, right? There's no other way really for a child to get that Nintendo Switch. I mean, of course, you could ask your parents, but this is just an example. Santa Claus would represent that thing which is the connection between what is beyond your grasp and what is within your grasp. It's within a child's grasp to understand Santa Claus. It's not within a child's grasp to understand, oh, I got to work a double shift for 2 weeks and I have to be naughty and not nice at my job so I can get that bonus money to buy you that Switch or whatever. So it's not all bad to believe in the Tooth Fairy and Easter Bunny and all this other stuff, as long as it serves a function. Remember, the thing in itself is not good or bad. You have to judge for yourself. Is it useful? Is it appropriate? If it's useful and appropriate, do it. If it's useless, if it's inappropriate, why are you doing it? Why are you eating chitlins and pig's feet if it's not useful and appropriate? But if it's useful and appropriate to you, then it's perfect for you. Do it. Do it. Ham hocks, hog mog, neck bones. I haven't had neck bones in a long time, and I really want some. You know how expensive those things are? Isaac McQuay says it's like the ideal concept. Yes. If you guys took my shadow working course, you know one of the last videos was the ideal concept, and this was actually creating your personal intermediary to access things that are beyond your grasp. Okay, so imagination. Imagination is essentially withdrawing from your five senses and going within. And like I said, imagination is not a place, it's a function. And with this function, you're able to utilize those inner senses, right? You're usually daydreaming or fantasizing, or maybe even like you might have seen a TV show or a movie, or you might be remembering your favorite song. You're allowing that stimulus to replay itself. You're regenerating that stimulus within your imagination. You're regenerating that stimulus and you're observing it within yourself. Now, the thing is, it isn't rooted and grounded in now. It's not fixed within now. And it's also not really, it's not fixed and it doesn't apply to right now, basically. It's kind of floaty. The details are kind of hazy. Things change, right? In the imagination, usually if you're fantasizing or you're recalling, you change certain things to make it pleasing and palatable to you. It's a moving, fluid thing. Now, it has its purposes. It also has its drawbacks. It's not good or bad. It's just a thing that you do. Now, everyone does that, like I said. But when it comes to magic, when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to using that as a tool to manifest, right? All over the internet, people are talking about manifestation. Say these affirmations and manifest. And a lot of these people, they are coming from a place that, is true and makes sense. It's mostly just like what we've been seeing for years. People saw something that made them feel good and they just repeat it, and then somebody repeats them, and the echo chamber continues until it's like a bunch of craziness. No one cites their sources, except for, like homie talked about, Neville Goddard. There's a lot of Neville Goddard fan clubs out there, but at least you know where it's coming from, right? But the thing is, you don't have to go through all the crazy hoops and all these different memes and pictures and steps to do it if you understand the simple process. So visualization takes imagination to the next level, just like clairvoyance takes your physical sight to the next level. Because remember what I said, in the Akash, everything is bound up and wrapped up in its seed form, beginning and end. But once it degenerates into physical, it has to go through time, beginning all the way to end through time. It has to. But when you're able to raise your awareness up to the Akashic level, you can see it in its whole state. So you can see the end of it. You can see the future of it. You can see any alternative futures of it. Not because you've gone into the future. No, it's because you've gone outside of time. So likewise, what you're seeing with your physical eyes is you picking up stimulus of the particular stage of evolution of whatever objects are going on here. But if you were to take that same awareness and withdraw it from the physical eyes and take it up into the etheric eye or the astral eye, what's going to happen is now you're able to see more of the picture. Now we're getting to visualization. Remember I said earlier in the beginning of this video, there comes a time where you have to read the letters and learn how to read. Then there's a time to actually write and replicate what it is that you read. Well, the same thing's going on here. Right? You don't start out by writing letters. You start by reading them. Then you write. You don't start out by writing a book. You start by reading. So, with visualization, you're taking this imagination, you're refining it, you're training it, you're getting better at utilizing it. Now it isn't just this loose, wet fairy tale of just whatever I saw or whatever I wish would happen to me tonight. Instead of that, you're using a bit of spiritual maturity with it, and you're applying the element of it being fixed, which means that the details are there. It makes sense because it is practical. And number two, you're overlaying it with now. See, visualization is about now. You know, people talk about, oh, you have to visualize it as if it's already happened, as if it's already done. Well, what this is coming from is a certain principle. Remember I said the principles wrap and support and surround the tools. Imagination is a tool. Well, when it's wrapped up with principles, you can take that imagination, make it fixed, and make it now. So in other words, if I want to visualize myself being successful, Well, I'm gonna need to get some details on what successful means, right? And I have to see myself as I am, and I have to take all those details I figured out about success, and I've got to apply them, overlay them with my current reality. So I'm able to close my eyes, and I'm able to smell that fruity pebbles oil that I got burning, right? Even with my eyes closed. And I'm able to see these cosmic nebulous blue lights and sparkles and fur and all that other stuff that I got going on. I'm able to hear this spaced out trippy music. I'm able to go within and replicate it within my own inner experience because it exists. I'm able to replicate it clearly. Now, what did I say about Akash? I said within the Akashic level, the beginning and the end exist together. So when I'm in that inner laboratory, guess what I'm doing? Guess what I'm doing? Somebody guess what I'm doing? I'm not only seeing what exists now, but I'm also seeing what it's connected to, which is its end result. Now, if we live in a multiverse of open-ended outcome, it behooves you to choose and focus on the intended outcome of your right now. So instead of just imagining myself in a Lamborghini and, throwing money and shit like that, because it's not connected to reality, that's just up in the cloud somewhere. I've got to ground it. Within Akash, the seed and the adult tree is in the same spot. The root and the fruit is in the same spot, in the seed. Like we said earlier, in that little seed, you don't slice it open and see a baby tree. You don't see the end result. No, the potentiality is all nestled and bundled up together, waiting to be activated with time and space. So when you return to the Akash, you see yourself as your now and your later in the same space. If you can work with that information, work with it immediately. If you got my 10K ritual by being in this class, keep that in mind also. Keep that in mind also. It's got to be fixed, meaning the details, right? You got to know what it is you're visualizing. So imagination is kind of just open-ended. Let it go how you want it to go. But when it's fixed, you can feel those sensations. You can smell those smells. You can see the sight. You can hear the sounds. You can taste the taste. Everything is there fixed and clear. And it's rooted and connected to now. Malkuth. The seed has to be planted in the soil, right? So you are able to clearly visualize yourself as you are with the expected outcome right now. Right now. That's the difference between visualization and imagination. Imagination is just kind of out there loose because you might be able to get some results with your imagination, but they're probably because you applied them to your now. You get results with visualization because it's not a maybe, it's not a if. You're literally singling out all the possibilities into as few as possible and connecting them and grounding them in this reality. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if it makes sense, because if it don't make sense, maybe we gotta do something different. We almost have the same amount of likes with viewers. I just need a couple more of y'all to slap that button. Probably somebody who just joined. But let me know if that makes sense. Like, this is what magic is right here. This is what magic is. I don't have to tell you no bullshit. I don't have to tell you about no stuff that you can't even really do anything with. What I'm telling you is it's got to be practical. It's got to be connected. Make it make sense. It's easy to explain to someone else because all of nature, all of truth is self-evident. It corroborates with itself. Truth verifies itself. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you something that I can't explain. I'm not going to tell you something that I haven't done before, right? And I'm damn sure not going to tell you something that you can't verify through the lens of your own experience. It's got to be verified through your own experience. What I can do is give you as much as I can from my experience so that you can either have your own experience or connect an experience you've already had with what I'm talking about. But either way, take this spiritual stuff and connect it. Connect it. Shout out to Bobby Hemmett. Wow. All I needed to do was fast for a little bit. Because I am full of energy, full of prana. Will Capru, peace, bro. Alligator says, imagination occurs when you're in the beta brainwave state, and visualization comes alive when you're in the alpha brainwave state. Now look at that, though. Look at that. What type of behaviors are associated with alpha and beta? Sly says, and peace, Sly, peace. Sly says, I want to thank you for all the exposure to this information your channel delivers. I bought my first book, The Kabbalistic Tarot. Listen, that is an amazing book, and it is one of the few that I keep next to me at all times, right? If you're not one to, oh, it's the same color as the background, cool. If you're not one to splurge on books, that's one of them that, if you're a student of the occult, you did not waste your money on. I'll tell you that. You're going to learn today. Amen. Please be seated. Oh, yeah. Kim Hecka. Peace. This may be the last time. This may be the last time, children. This may be the last time. Maybe the last time, I don't know. Amen. Oh, yeah. So Poor 777 says, so does imagining a certain situation with someone cause it to be materialized in the physical plane? That's one way to get there, yes. Of course, there are many factors involved, but that is one of the ways to get there, yes. I've done it numerous times. And many other people in this chat have done it numerous times. Damian Hayes, peace. And also keep in mind what I said here about imagination and visualization when it comes to working with spirits. Right? Right? No matter what kind of spirit. Again, if you haven't taken my spirit summoning master system, you probably should consider doing that. Mainly because it answers a lot of questions like this one and puts it into practical sense about how you can work today on improving your results. And by the way, it's not just working with demons. This class teaches you how to work with any type of spirit, living or deceased. Nehru says the mag in imagination, magi, magnetism, all indicate expansion and embedding, like a womb. The mag is magnitude, magnification, space plus a boundary, wall, enclosure. Imagination is a world creator. Yes, 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 that corroborates with what I'm saying. Synonymous. I love it. Reflection says many people can't do this as their ego monkey mind blocks it. So be it. So be it. And it's probably a good thing. When you think about nature and all the wild animals that run around, nature literally created, what do you call those things? Carnivores. Nature created carnivores to eat the herbivores so they don't overpopulate. And nature created herbivores to eat the plants so they don't run amok. And nature created humans so that wild animals can't live in perfect peace. So everything is balanced how it's supposed to be. Likewise, everybody ain't supposed to be doing this. Let them folks worry about their celebrities and politics and pronouns. We're world creators, like Nehru said. Stray Panther says that background music is making me want to meditate. For real, for real. Hell yeah. Reflection says Travis music is always the best. So I utterly fell in love with this song, and I had to make it known to the creator, and she made a track that is basically just for me to use on my videos. It's on my last video if you didn't see it already. Hopefully I can get some more exclusive outer dimension music from Russia. I love it. This is great. I was so happy. My favorite artist made music that nobody else has except for me. Society Eject says, yes, check. Pulling everything down to Malkuth. If not, it's going to be stuck in Yesod. Right. If not, you're just daydreaming, and you have to make it practical in the now. That's a major aspect of this thing. You got to connect, you got to ground it, right? You got to earth it. All 5 elements. It's not, that's why when people are like, oh, how do I open my third eye? What does it mean if my third eye, Your third eye is cool, but ground it to that root chakra too. Look at these words, root. What is a root? A root, you find that in plants, right? A plant may be above ground, sprouting out, collecting sun, but where does that sunlight and chlorophyll and all that stuff go? The roots also work with the fruit. You gotta have both. Even a lotus flower has roots. So Poor 777 says, my Mercury is in Capricorn, so my thoughts and imagination lean more towards pessimism and cynicism. Makes sense why I'm manifesting a bleak life. Here's what they say about astrology, right? The stars compel. They do not impel. I might have that backwards, but basically what it means is we can talk about astrology, but don't forget, it's a suggestion. It's a cosmic suggestion. It's an influence. I know a thing or two about influence. Influence is not indelible, right? You can resist if you want to. So if you've got certain things in your chart, you're not doomed. You now see what's in your chart. And that's half the battle. If you don't like it, you can do things to balance it out. If you do like it, you can do things to enhance it. See, me being a Gemini with both my sun and my moon, Gemini are known to talk a lot and communicate a lot and also study a lot. Now, I would be setting myself up for failure if I were to get a career or spend all my time in something that is anti-talking a lot and anti-studying all the time. I would be miserable. But I enhance myself by doing things that involve me talking and studying and communicating. So it doesn't mean that you're doomed. Work with it. It's a gift. It's a feature. It's something that you have that nobody else has in that exact combination. Make it work. Make it work. Amen. This may be the last time, children. This may be the last time. Maybe the last time. I don't know. Derek Royster says, how do you become full of prana? No sex. Alligator says, I've read over 100 books and I've watched over 1,000 YouTube videos. And I only found out today in the spirit summoning class why we work first with a road opener like Papa Legba. I'm not telling. Awesome possum. Awesome possum. Isaac McCoy says, would you say the etheric realm is between Yesod and Malkuth? Absolutely. I absolutely would say that. Yes, you're exactly right with that. Nuru says the magnetosphere is the magnetic bubble that shields the Earth from excessive radiation and solar charge. It is the womb of the Earth. Whenever you see Mag, there is a womb, aka Mary Magdalene. Nice. Like my thumbnail. The womb gestates, protects, nurtures, develops. These ancient symbols are no accident. They're chosen not arbitrarily, but because they communicate something that is far deeper than just words. Far deeper than just words. Okay, all right. So that was that. I have made the point that I wanted to make. I don't want to be in here too long. I know this is Thursday, and we usually do something every Thursday. I've been trying to pull back just a little bit so I can work on all these projects that I have planned. But as it's been going right now, every other Thursday, the Spirit Summoning Mastermind Group does meet. So we will be meeting next Thursday for sure. And like I said, I hope you guys caught that previous video about the vibrating, pulsating third eye. It was a good one. Still is a good one. And I hope this information does help you improve your practices. For sure, for sure. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Helping you to improve what it is that you're actually doing. It's been a long time since there have been mystery schools set up that more people have access to. Well, those times are changing. And right now, there's a lot of information everywhere. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to have access to it. And you guys are too. But the cool thing is that we are able to commune together. Because where one or two are gathered, there I am. Who knows who says that? Sud Eject says, could you talk on how we have to build up prana to access the 4 different bodies? So, yeah, we're talking about, as I mentioned in the class, the dichotomy between consciousness and matter, the 2-part piece of the puzzle. The lower we are on the scale, the more our prana and our awareness is pushed into that glove of hard, dense matter. You know how you put on the glove and you snap it like that. The more that we're in the material plane, the more that we are densely infused into matter. We're heavy. We're tamasic, right? So in order to ascend your awareness into more subtle planes, you yourself have to be more subtle. And when I say you yourself, this is this arbitrary placeholder, I mean, for your awareness. Because all of this is you. You're only experiencing the lower aspect of it because you're stuck in that glove of the physical body. So, since that's very tamasic, by nature, prana is rajasic, which is full of motion. Rajasic, which is like fire. Rajas is the intermediary between tamas and sattva. Don't you guys love learning stuff? Like all of these yoga books we read all year long. Notice how truly only like 3 of these elements are like, you know, colored. You got tamas, also known as earth, prithvi. You got rajas, which is fire, tivareth. And then you've got akash, which is sattva, pure, white. Now, our awareness is totally stuck in the 5 senses in this dense, lower material plane. In order for us to bring our awareness higher, we've got to extend our awareness and expand beyond just those 5 senses. We've got to, it takes more prana. It takes more prana because it's easy to just be focused on dense, gross sensation. That's easy. Anybody can do that. That's why everybody is so obsessed with the material plane and doing things in the material plane and collecting things and eating things. So I said before in the previous video and this video also, people don't feel alive unless they're getting stimulus in their physical body. Stuck in that tomb. But once you begin the process of spiritual work and you start meditating, you start realizing, hey, maybe there's more than just stimulus to my five senses. Now you're able to cultivate prana instead of burning it and wasting it through the activities of the physical plane. You're able to reserve your prana. And when you reserve, you collect, cultivate, and refine your prana, you now have enough to expand even further. It's like adding gas to your vehicle. You're able to go further now because you're not caught up with the folks in the neighborhood. You're not caught up with drama. You're not getting mad at every little thing and fighting and cussing and getting pissed off and triggered and arguing about things that really have nothing to do with you, right? You're not eating the foods that don't feed you, because you can stuff your belly with food, but some foods feed you and some don't. There's all types of things you can do to increase the prana, to cultivate the quality of prana. And once you start doing that, almost naturally, you're able to expand even further. This is why fasting is so important, because sometimes you got to purge what's inside that hasn't had a chance to get out yet. Sometimes you have to stop taking some of that stuff in. Sometimes you have to fast from people. Sometimes you have to fast from entertainment. Sometimes you have to fast from things that actually do make you feel good. Your prana begins to refine itself, and more refined prana allows you to expand further. Now, if you keep this process up, it'll start to make sense why certain yogis and spiritual people kind of separate themselves from the general public. Not because they feel better, right? You go into that hermit phase, not because, oh, I'm better than everybody else, but because you have to. Because you have to in order to maintain your quality of prana and to continue expanding in the spiritual endeavors that you've set forth upon. And there's many, many, many different ways to increase the quality and quantity of your prana. But increased quantity and quality of prana is what it takes to begin this expansion process, or pulling your fingers out of that glove, so to speak. Glove off, so you can feel how it really feels. Violet Phoenix, peace. Reflection says you definitely perceive reality differently when fasting. Absolutely. Stray Panther says sun gazing builds prana, right? Many different ways. Golden Light of Ra says any answer for meditating and having a buzzing sound in your ear. Check the last video I did about buzzing and vibration. It still relates. It still relates. Actually, yeah, that would relate. Yeah, check my last video that I did about vibrating and buzzing when you meditate. The answer is there for you. Naturally Nature says Tritaka also builds prana. Yes, concentrating on the flame. Or anything, really. One pointed focus. And don't forget, what's the name of that exercise? Tatwa vision. That's it, Tatwa vision. That definitely helps you with your visualization, Tatwa vision, because it helps you to focus clear detail on these Tatwas, and to experience what's behind those Tatwas. Who remembers Tatwa vision? That's how you activate that inner light. Cool beans, cool beans. Let's see what else we got. I'm just checking the comments here before I wrap it up. It has been 1 hour and 16 minutes. It's pretty good, pretty good. A lot of info chock full inside of this video. Nuru says, prana grows by movement. The natural etheric life force is everywhere. Breathing moves more electric charge throughout the body, where it embeds and swirls. Meditation and yoga grows your inner battery. Nuru says, prana also grows by stillness in samadhi. Kim Hecka says, where do we sign up for spirit summoning class? I usually have the link in my videos, but I can post a link in the chat if you do not have it. Okay, that should take you right to the website. You can get a good idea of what's in there. And there are tons of people who are already taking the class. If you need to ask somebody, just go to themagussociety.com and ask. Certainly people are happy to tell you about their experience. I think it's better if other people tell you than me, because you know I'm gonna hype it up. But the fact that other people are also getting what they want out of it, that just goes to show the quality of the product. I love to be able to, I like to be able to give things that are of good quality. Nuru says, find trees and nature to practice ritual or samkhya. There is excessive prana in nature. Yes, yes. Because Tatwa vision is associated with the elements, I might add that module into the spirit summoning class. What do you guys think? Cooley High says, your vibe reminds me of LaForge from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Is that Geordi LaForge? He was blind, right? With the visor. He also did Reading Rainbow. Interesting.
The Rick Vader.
Alligator says, I'll be glad to tell anyone about the class. Awesome, awesome. Reflection says, Travis, why do some guided meditations ask the meditator to visualize light? When I do this, I feel a physical effect in my environment. To be fair, I can't speak for anyone else. I don't know. I've never done that. I mostly ask you to visualize darkness. So I don't know. I don't know. Might have to see the exact one you're talking about. Alligator says, yes, add Tatwa vision. Okay. So if you guys have taken my inner light activation system, you can still see that module in there, of course, but I'll work on adding it into this course. I think it'll be useful. Rick says, I've been feeling an electromagnetic sensation throughout the day where my crown chakra is. Would that be related to the video posted earlier? It could. It could. And I say it could because it's a physical sensation. It's something that you're perceiving with your senses, right? You're either feeling it with your body or you're feeling it somewhere else. If you're feeling it with your body, then yeah, I could say it applies. Reflection says, I think you have, though. Well, it's possible. Maybe I did say visualize light. I know usually with, like, say, Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram or with Middle Pillar, you are to visualize light. At least if that's the case, then if and when I did that, that was in reference to Kether. That was in reference to Kether.
Is anybody out here listening to me?
Mike's Art says, I visualize darkness automatically, systematically. Willie, you kind of spit when you talk. That's not me, that's the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is spitting a lot, automatically, systematically.
Poison ivy.
What's your name, man? Willie James Huff, better known as Funky Chicken, as Allah Rakbar.
Hello.
If y'all ain't seen Rackham Willie yet, you gotta catch that update. I don't think you're allowed to leave this dimension unless you see Rackham Willie at least 20 times. Rakbar. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I'm just gonna be goofy if I continue. And this is not a goofy video. This is a serious video. Bo Gorman says, one good energy gathering session I had, some line between my eyes about the location of the pineal. Yeah. Okay, I have had vibrations in my pineal area. It wasn't like intense. I guess usually when people describe it to me, it sounds like really intense. For me, it was very subtle. It was very subtle. It almost felt kind of itchy, right? It was like such a slight vibration. It almost felt kind of itchy. But yeah, now that you say that, I do recall feeling sensations like that in my third eye. Is that what you guys are talking about? Like a slight itchy feeling, or is it like... In any case, I'm gonna go. I hope you all have a wonderful night. This is fun, as always. I am enjoying my research and my testing. I'm enjoying you guys' feedback, your comments, your experiences. Like the video if you haven't already. Okay, there we go. So now the likes are more than the viewers in the house. Awesome, we did it. Check out Rackham Willie. Check out my spirit summoning master system if you haven't already. Because like I said, it takes up a lot of time and energy to be asking questions and to not be certain about things. It also takes a lot of time and energy to be surfing the internet, digging through all these random people's opinions and unfounded theories that have no real way for me to test myself. That takes a lot of time and energy. Instead, get you something that has the instruments with the theory wrapped around it so you can test it all yourself. This weapon is tried and true and has done many people a body good. So check it out if you haven't already. If you're on the fence, ask somebody that's taken the course. We are everywhere. Go to themagussociety.com. Otherwise, keep doing what you do. Keep expanding. Keep growing. Don't be afraid to explore what is beyond the human comprehension. Even though in that last video I was like, oh, the 5th level, ugh. I did that not because it's like scary or anything, but it is outside of the comprehension of your daily human life. So you're going to experience things that are very unfamiliar. So one thing that a magus really has to get used to pretty fast is being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. That's something that you have to get used to, being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Because it is not all sparkles and unicorns. I just prefer this dimension. But there's other ones out there that are not sparkles and unicorns. And that's not to be scared of them. That's just to understand that reality is potentiality. So there's the potential for all sorts of things, pleasant and unpleasant. But the more that you learn how to visualize with clarity, the more that you can manifest the reality that you want. I want this. This is why I have it. And the stuff that you have is probably because you wanted it. Now, of course, there's things also that you don't want, but you can fix those too. Remember what I said. Go into the inner laboratory, the realm of the imagination, right? Utilize those inner senses, not just what you see, but also what you taste, touch, smell, hear, feel, etc. Utilize all that. Replicate reality in your own realm. Richard Bandler, right? The guy who wrote the Gold Book, the guy who's credited with co-founding the NLP. Hell, he says it in the Gold Book. He's got an inner mansion. He's got a room where he produces music. He's got his keyboard in there, right? He's got a room where he does this and that and a third. Build yourself an inner temple. And here's a secret. I live a magical life because while I'm doing what I do, at the same time, I'm overlaying my magical reality on top of my physical reality, right? So if you see a video with me with a bunch of sparkles and shit around, that's what I'm seeing in my head, right? When you're working with your spirits and whatnot, you can see them on top of the reality that you're living in. You do it on purpose. You do it intentionally. You visualize it. These are ways to accelerate the process and to help cement the understanding within your subconscious mind that you're working with more than just the impulses that you're getting from the physical eye. You read Cyclomancy? Well, maybe you didn't. Or Psychastra, or, everybody's going crazy because Brother Panic mentioned Cyclomancy. Oh, Trev, read Cyclomancy. You read Cyclomancy. If you read Cyclomancy, you'll see he's talking about the same thing. He's talking about overlaying your imagination or your visualization on top of your tangible reality. That's a skill, that's a technique, that's a tool, right? So if it's good enough for Bandler, it's good enough for me. If it's good enough for Frank Rudolph Young, it's good enough for me. If it's good enough for Ophiel, it's good enough for me. And if it's good enough for Travis Mages, it's good enough for me. So remember what I said. Go within to that inner laboratory, utilize those inner senses, and connect it with the reality that you're currently in. Connect it. Don't make it separate out there in the wild blue yonder. Connect it. Remember what's happening in this egg and that highest level of akasha that exists outside of space and time? The end and the beginning is bundled up in one spot. It's all wrapped up together. So what do you think is happening when you're visualizing that in your right now? You're literally training yourself to access the akash. This is why I talked about Christ in the beginning of this video. This is why I talked about imagination and visualization. Because the Christ energy, like I said already, is that function that is able to access things that are beyond the grasp of your human mind. It's beyond the grasp of your five senses. It's beyond the grasp of your conscious mind. So when you link up with that higher self, you by default link up with what's beyond. And this is a process that you practice. These are a lot of keys, y'all. Grasp these and put them in the doors. Test it. Don't just repeat it to somebody else. Test the shit out. Make it work. Make it work. 20-inch blades. Highway. Highway. Gotta be a better way. Better way. Yeah. Alright, so are we good? Are we Gucci bandana? Are we straight? But nah, 144 Magnolia Street, I seen through the window of that house. They was in white robes. Simply Alon, peace, peace. David Now, peace. David Now says, Trav, thank you for all your hard work. It is not in vain. These seeds will bear fruit. Awesome, awesome. That's what I like to see. Go CPNG. Peace. Reflection says only masters will achieve their results consistently. And I wonder what you're a master at. I wonder what you have mastered. There's things that we've been doing for a long time that we no longer think about doing it. We just do it exquisitely. You don't have to think about walking anymore, do you? You don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to think about blinking. You don't have to think about chewing, using the bathroom. There's a lot of things you don't have to think about that you've mastered. So take that mastery, slice off a little bit of it, and apply it to something new and see how they connect. I wonder what walking and eating and blinking and breathing and going to the bathroom have in common with creative visualization. I wonder if there are any similarities. And if there are, I wonder if you can go ahead and cash those in for a trade-in balance, so to speak. You know how like sometimes you can get a new phone by trading in your old one and you get some money off, or you trade in an old car and you get some money off? Well, take some time to think about what you've already mastered and see if you can trade some of that in for bonus points towards these new skills. My mind's telling me no, but that crack, y'all, that crack keeps telling me yes. Gotta go. It's a meme. I don't do crack. Never seen the stuff in my life. Mark Lopez says, is being persistent enough? No. Being persistent at being correct is enough. So like I said in the previous video about vibrating while you're meditating, you can practice basketball the wrong way persistently. That ain't gonna make you better at it. You just get really good at doing it the wrong way. The crack keeps telling me yes, baby. I don't wanna hurt nobody, but there's something that I must confess. I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. All right, that's it. Time to go. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for being here. It's a beautiful night. Enjoy it. Do something good for yourself. Always remember, you don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer. You don't. All right. All right. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you guys. Peace.